I'd say exemplifying the IB learner profile traits was definitely something that was recognized at closing ceremonies and that a lot of teachers and students tried to instill in each other and in themselves. So things like being caring, being tolerant, being risk takers.
I'm Glenn Herbert, and I'm an editor with Our Kids. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading private schools to gain insights into their programs, culture, traditions, and leadership. This includes insights from parents, alumni, and administrators. This is the Our Kids Insider Perspective.
For me, I think it's the diversity of the experiences I was given. We were also really encouraged to give back to the community. And I think that experience of giving back, even from a really young age, so things like Run for the Cure and breast cancer awareness in the fall, but also being able to take part in fundraisers in our house system. So having that instilled from a young age and being able to gain that compassion and empathy is something that I really appreciate that I had the experience of having. That's a really great question. I think a lot of private schools obviously have small class sizes, and that's one thing that differentiates it. But one thing I think makes Elmwood really special is the SLG system. So in most schools, we have a traditional homeroom with just students in your grade. But at Elmwood in high school, you have the unique opportunity to be in an SLG, which is like a homeroom, but it consists of students in grades 9 to 12, and you have the same teacher throughout. And I think what makes it really special is as a grade 9 and 10 student, you're new to high school. You haven't really experienced what high school life is like. But being able to have grade 11s and 12s in that same homeroom every day, it's really great to have that mentorship and to have someone to look up to ask advice from. And by the time you get to grade 12, things kind of come full circle. You're now kind of like a student leader. And to be able to just work with the same teacher for 4 years, I think is really special because they get to know you personally and really see you grow from the age of 14 up to 17, 18. That's a really tough one. I'd say spirited, welcoming, and forward thinking. Those are the three I'd go with. Sure. So we obviously have a house system where you're sorted into a house, and any spirit afternoon, you are in that house, you're out there competing in some friendly competition and some athletic events. So being able to just have that house system interwoven into so many aspects of school life, from sports and spirit afternoons to even fundraising events, it just really feels like everyone really comes together and appreciates that house that they're put into. The second one was welcoming. So obviously, I had a little bit of time away from Elmwood when I was traveling, and coming back into middle school, it's obviously a really difficult time for most people. But the whole community was just so welcoming. And in many ways, I felt like I'd never left when I came back. And they really found a way to make me feel like I was right back at home again. And when I come to forward thinking, I think a lot about the technology program, about how well technology is integrated into so many aspects of school life. It's a really big part of our curriculum and how we conduct our work and how we do things in the classroom. So I think making sure that we're ahead of the curve technologically is definitely something important, and is definitely a big part of Elmwood. For me, what I saw was, I guess, the willingness to give back to community. I think we don't think about that too often when we think of school because we see school as a place of academics. But one thing I realized is that there's that inherent care of the people around us and giving back, to really make the place around us a better place for everyone. I'd say exemplifying the IB learner profile traits was definitely something that was recognized at closing ceremonies and that a lot of teachers and students tried to instill in each other and in themselves. So things like being caring, being tolerant, being risk takers. I think those were definitely big traits. But beyond that, just being a lifelong learner and global citizen, I think those were things that we were able to learn and catch just from being in the school community. being able to question things to get to the final answer, but also just being aware of what's happening in the world around us so that we can be better informed and just be better global citizens. I think those are the big ones for me. It would definitely be welcoming, how welcoming the whole community is. I think just coming in, it's really easy to find a sense of community and really integrate yourself with other students who have similar interests and to find a sense of belonging no matter what you're interested in, whether that be sports, arts, sciences, etc. I think in many ways it made me more confident in myself and my ability to be a leader. I learned a lot that you don't necessarily need to be the loudest voice in the room to have an impact. And I think Elmwood really gave me a chance to develop those leadership skills and to nurture that, I guess, quiet style of leadership that I don't know if I would have had in other places. So this is going to be a little bit biased, and obviously things might have changed. But I think one area that Elmwood can expand on is the introduction of programming and computer science from an earlier age. When I was at Elmwood, we had something called Hour of Code, where we were introduced to the concept of coding for just an hour, and that was really, really great. But I think as we go into an even more digital age and as things get more advanced, early exposure to things like computer science, I think, could be really beneficial if we want to, future-proof education and really give students an opportunity to explore something that is so big and increasingly important in today's world. I think when I was a student, I saw it more as a school, but now I realize in many ways it was so much more than that. It was an entire community. And after going into a really big school like U of T, I've come to really appreciate how small the class sizes were at Elmwood and how tight knit the community was. Just being able to have that one on one engagement with the teachers, but also just having a much smaller student population where you felt like you knew everyone. Those are definitely things that I appreciate in hindsight. So number one would definitely be the small class sizes. I think that one-on-one engagement with the teachers is so, so important. Being able to get that attention, ask questions, and in a really supportive environment, I think is super important. The second one would be the community. So we're not just talking about the teachers and students, but we're also talking about all the supporting staff who are just so supportive and who really make the things run smoothly at the school. So people from custodial staff to the people who help us with our technology and in the cafeteria as well. I think having those people who are constantly there and bringing joy is just such a special feeling. But most importantly for me, it was the guidance program. So the guidance program was a really integral part of my whole life at Elmwood in many ways. And having a teacher who was working with me from grade 8 until I was applying to universities, who also taught me career studies in grade 10, I think just having that connection with one person who can see you grow from a young teenager to that university application stage has been just such an amazing experience. And I've been so lucky to have that. So with any big decision, I'd say definitely do research. Speak to the students, speak to the teachers, and see whether or not Elmwood's curriculum has what you're looking for your child. And definitely go in for that taster day to experience what Elmwood has to offer. I think by going in, seeing things in action, you can really get a sense of whether or not you feel like it'd be the right school for you. And I think that is an important thing to consider when choosing a school. I would say to really go for it. Any opportunities that come your way, really grasp it and just see where it takes you. I think you'll be really surprised at how supportive the community is and how much you'll enjoy just trying new things. I'd say when it comes to thinking about school, you think of it as just a place that you go to from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, but really what you put into the experience is what you get out. So I think if you really put your all into it, really try hard, explore different opportunities, and really forge those relationships, it gives you an opportunity to really benefit from the amazing opportunities that the school gives to you.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.